Ladies and gentlemen, some people involved in this circuit on our side of the thing, some people are cooler than others. That's just a fact. I wish we were all cool, but we're not. For example, Rob and me, we're not cool. Some people are cooler than others. This lady is the coolest. Ladies and gentlemen, actress extraordinaire and brainchild behind Random Acts, Rachel Miner. This is the part where she hits Rob with the wheels.
Ever.
Yeah, that's all Billy. Hey, what do we do for her song? I tell you what, Billy, you solo for 10 minutes. That's what and then we'll go get coffee.
As she slowly meanders.
You take all the time you want. I want to see Billy pay. Rachel.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember if we've been on this stage together before. Have you done Pittsburgh? Have you been in Pittsburgh before?
I have not been to Pittsburgh before.
Do you get to, are you going to get to do anything? Go out and see the town? Because it's quite lovely.
I don't know, I'd love to.
Yeah. It's I don't know if you know this, but it's Michael Borja's hometown.
Rich, are you asking her out on a date? Sounds like.
Funny, do you mention that as often as you mentioned Nashville is your hometown?
Yeah. Did I come to think of it, did you know?
You did say that a couple of 5,000 times.
A couple of times. Listen, I know, that was me-con. Now this is BoreCon, where we're gonna bore
the pants off you.
Like it or not, prepare to get bored.
We should have a map of the United States that's just like where each of us was born.
Yeah. Okay,
not that we have egos or anything like that.
No, but we gotta center that zone around us. Where's your place of birth?
New York City, born and raised.
So New Jersey is kind of your
New Jersey is Rachel Con.
Rachel Con.
That would be Rachel Con.
I love it.
When we make it to Columbia, Missouri, Rob Con.
Awesome. But I do like it. I feel like your face will be bigger on the map than a lot of ours because you cover a lot of territory.
And I have a big head.
And a sizable head.
I don't think there's like a lot of overlap.
There's not a lot, no, not a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So,
Chicago, I think, is the closest.
So it's kind of like Rachel, Borja, Rob.
Yeah, you're trying to take it to the Midwest.
That's what I wake up to in the morning. That's my mantra.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting off the stage. Rachel Miner.
Hello, guys. How are you? This is like a really big auditorium, and like the lights make it really cool. I feel like we're about to take off into outer space or something. So you guys you're up for that? Because I swear that is going to happen. I've been told by people I've gished with that one of my challenges that I'm going to make them do at some point is to build their own rocket ship to the moon. Not that I'm ambitious, but I think we could do that. I think this group could go to the moon right now. You know what I'm saying? She's coming built, free high schools and things like that. We know how to accomplish things in the world.
Anything's possible.
That's right. I love you guys. Are you having a good time? Has this been a good weekend so far? It's you always make my life so much better, and I hope you know that. I love you dearly, and I can't say that enough. Love you so much. And do we have questions? Am I supposed to be answering things, or because I can just talk. I'll talk and talk about trying to save the world and about Star Wars and about you name it. I'm happy. Harry Potter. super luck.
Hey Rachel, you were on several shows where people had special abilities.
Yes.
So what powers would you like to have and what would you do with them?
Oh, that's freaking awesome. I would like to, I always have this thing in my head where I don't know why, but inherently I was born cheesy. So I hear like my own answers and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cheesy. Like no one's going to, and anyway, I wish I had a cooler answer, but like my first instinct was I would love to have the power to make people really and truly, not like temporarily, but really and truly happy. Like, that would be the coolest power. I don't know, that's the coolest, nerdiest power. But yeah, like imagine if you could just like walk up to anyone and give them that feeling of like wholeness. And yeah, that would be the superpower I'd choose. And I think it would actually be like a really good superpower. Like imagine if you could do that to like dictators. And think like how much better would the world be if you just send in the like happy girl. And like all of a sudden they leave and they're like, oh, stop killing people.
You'll be the happy fairy with wings.
That's right. Thank you for that. It was a great question. Hello.
Hey Rachel.
How are you doing?
Good, how are
Long
you?
time no see.
I feel like I just saw you. So, I was gonna ask what your favorite character was in Star Wars.
Okay. It's a tricky one. If you go back to old school, it's so I can't because here I want Han, but with the Force. Like I want Han as a Jedi. So that's where I'm kind of spliced between Han and Luke. But then also in the new Star Wars, I freaking loved Rey. So I just thought she was one of the best characters ever. I loved her certainty, the fact that she didn't compromise, and she had such integrity. And she was her inner strength was just amazing, and I freaking love having female characters that aren't about their sexuality and their, I guess, trying to please men. And so she was just a strong, beautiful character in her own right. So yeah, what
You're
about you?
awesome. I love Rey too. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love these questions, by the way.
Okay, hi, my name's Pam. I love Meg, the character of Meg. She's wonderful.
Me too. I'm such a big fangirl.
Yeah, I was sad when she died in season 8. But anyway, I have another fandom question. Which Hogwarts house do you consider yourself to be part of?
Gryffindor.
Okay.
I don't have a question because I am the level of Harry Potter geek that has taken those tests so many times just to double and triple check. The only house that I've ever gotten as an anomaly was Hufflepuff. I thought that I might be Ravenclaw because I'm such a book nerd and I love knowledge so much, but no, I've never gotten Ravenclaw. And I think the reason why I'm Gryffindor and not Hufflepuff more often than not is because I have this ridiculously unself-aware brave streak in me. So I'm not, like my whole life I've been the type of person, like if someone, like a woman was running because her purse was stolen, I'd jump and run after her, like I was gonna do something even though I was like tiny and not gonna catch anyone. So yeah, I'm a like social justice warrior, and I'm always up for it in terms of defending the weak or something like that, and I think that's what makes me Gryffindor. What about you?
I'm definitely a Hufflepuff.
Nice.
Thank you.
I love you, Hufflepuffs.
Hi Rachel,
Hello.
I'm Sarah.
How are you, Sarah?
Good.
So my question for you is, what was your favorite episode of Supernatural that you got to play in or act in?
Oh, that I got to act in. Okay, so I was gonna say, so that I actually got to act in was probably the last one, Goodbye Stranger, for a couple of reasons. I also, there's a couple great episodes that I was lucky enough to be a part of. But I love Robbie Thompson's writing very, very much. I loved his words. I loved every scene in that. I loved the way she said goodbye. I love that it was, for once, not a damsel in distress, but it was the guys who were in distress, and she just stepped up without making a show of it. And I love Go Save My Unicorn. It's one of my favorite lines I've ever gotten to say. I love that I got to say, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? There were so many brilliant moments in that. Yeah, so what about you? Do you have a favorite? Yeah, you don't have to pick one with me in it.
There's too many to pick.
One of my favorite episodes in general, and it's really hard to pick because I freaking love so many, but I really love Don't Call Me Shirley.
Mystery Spot, I like that one.
Nice. I love the challenge of trying to put ourselves in the head of, like, what would you do if you actually ran the world, if you actually had to make all the decisions for the fate of humanity, and just that is a real thing. I think we very often, we're very good as a human race at judging and going, oh, if I were the one responsible, this is how I do things. But it's very different when you're actually sitting in that seat and you have to make those decisions. And I loved kind of the humor and the insight into that kind of perspective. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry to ramble so much, but thank you for the great questions.
Hey, hi, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
Coming from somebody whose sarcasm is my second natural language.
It's a very good language, isn't it?
It really is.
Yes.
In Supernatural, your character was awesome. Your sarcasm was perfect. Are you that sarcastic in real life, or is that just that?
I'm not as witty and sharp as she is.
I think you are.
Thank you. No, but I thought the writers did, every line that worked on so many levels, and I don't feel like I'm always that sharp in the moment. The other thing is what tempers and counters my sense of humor is a worry about wanting people to feel good. And so I often worry with sarcasm and so forth that even though I'll have a witty quip in my head, that people might take it seriously or might get hurt by what I'm saying, so I pull back a lot from being comfortable saying it. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I know completely.
Yeah.
And you are that witty, so.
Thank you very much. But also, I think it's partly because I look so nice and sweet. People mistake that when those things come out, they're like, oh, she's really upset. It's no. Yeah. So you have to, I have to, when I really get to know people, I'm comfortable just kind of throwing those things out because they know I'm not serious. It used to be, I haven't, for health reasons, I quit everything, caffeine and nicotine and alcohol and all those things. But it used to be, I guess, one of my natural go-to places if I had a couple drinks, apparently. I would get very sarcastic.
Well, now you can just up the sarcasm. They can't take that away from you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful one.
Hi.
Hey.
Really quick, I wanted to thank you for really focusing on spreading positivity, because growing up in a negative environment, I sometimes forget that there is so much positivity in this world, so I wanted to thank you for that.
That means a lot to me, and thank you for saying that, because it just, and again, because I don't give short answers. And I don't just take a compliment, I have to add to it, and ask for more. What I was going to say is, I think it's so important for all of us to do that for each other, because there's a mistake that being positive or being nice means you're naive to what's going on and the hardships in the world and the pain that exists and the suffering that exists. It's like, I just believe so strongly that you can know all that fully and be fully aware of that and still come at it really strong with just, yeah, but let's find the good and let's grow that. So that means a lot to me, and also I do think we all need constant reminding. And I try never to put it out just for the sake of putting out positivity. A lot of times it's because I'm struggling that day or something, and I know that that's a place I want to get to myself, and so I work really hard to get myself to that place. And then I try to pass along those things that have come into my head that may help me to find that better place. And so my hope is that it can, help some of you, and hopefully we can keep doing that for each other. So,
Thank you.
You guys do it for me all the time.
My question is, on your Twitter, I see you either retweet or tweet poetry, and I love that. So what inspires you most about poetry itself?
Well, I love poetry. I feel like poetry saved my life as a teenager, especially. I love to write it because it's just finding the right words to accurately express an emotional state is so healing. And also just hearing beautiful words. I don't know, to me, I love hearing other people's beautiful words. And it's an art form that to me is so healing on so many levels, but I'm very worried is kind of a dying art form. So that's one of the reasons why I like to encourage it. Because I love there's so many beautiful, amazing poets out there, and I just want us not to lose sight of that. So, do you love poetry as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your reasons?
Well, the poet Rupa Kaur, I have both of her books, and there's a section of her book called The Healing, and it's so nice to just see someone who has been through so many struggles come through and be able to share their pain and their healing in such a beautiful art form.
Yeah. And I think there's an honesty to it. I'm always looking for how can I be more honest and more connected to people. And there's something about the level of honesty in poetry that is unique. And just so you know, like a lot of the poems that I shared that are ones that I wrote, most of them I wrote from when I was 15 to when I was 18. So I'm not looking to to get accolades as some great poetess or something. I'm sharing it because it's such a vulnerable thing. And so I like that kind of just openness of, hey, these are things I felt and thought at that time.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much. Hey.
Hi.
Hey. Are you having fun?
Yeah. I've always had a question.
Yes.
Other than Supernatural, what is your favorite fandom?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think I'd say Harry Potter. And here's why. It's not to do with what my favorite show or whatever, because I grew up in Star Wars. And I love Doctor Who. And it's not to, I don't know, I'm glad I'm not having to pick between my favorite shows or books. It's that the fandom of Supernatural is so kind and so caring, and we really look out for each other. And you don't always see that in other fandoms. Sometimes they can be really vicious toward each other, or cut each other down and very kind of proprietary about their ships or their stories or whatever it is that they care about. And I found that Harry Potter tends to have an abnormal number of very kind people as well, very conscientious, very open-minded, and willing to embrace diversity. And I think that's hugely important. What about you? What's your favorite fandom?
I have to say my favorite is Doctor Who.
Nice. I'm a huge Whovian. I love Doctor Who, so that's a good pick too. And there's a lot of really wonderful people in the Doctor Who fandom, so.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My question is, that knowing the boys, or Jensen and Jared and Misha, pull pranks on each other, what's your favorite prank that they pulled on you, if they pulled a pranks on you?
Okay, I don't know if it's they don't like me or what it is, but they never pulled a heck of a lot of pranks on me. They were always like incredibly professional and courteous with me in general. I do think maybe part of the reason they never pulled a lot of pranks with me is because I'm a no fun person when it comes to pulling pranks, because like when I'm in work mode, I'm often like just trying to get the job done. Like I don't wind up on bloopers a lot because I'm just like, I won't break that, whatever that barrier is. I'll just try to keep on trucking. It's partly, I think, growing up in the industry. I'm just like, oh no, time is money. I have to like say my line and get it up. So like there was one time that I remember Jared had a whoopee cushion or something. Like through my whole close-up, I think he was farting. Or there was farting noises coming from his general direction. But I didn't laugh once, so I think he like got bored. Many years ago on a different set, I remember I had a director who had like a fake hand coming out of his zipper, and he was so disappointed because I worked with him all day and I never noticed. I guess I don't look at crotches, obviously. But also, I was to me, I was just like trying to take notes and do the job and stuff. So basically, I can't pick a favorite prank because they didn't prank me a heck of a lot. But ask them, because I know they prank each other all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Hi.
Hey.
With Meg, I was wondering, was it more difficult to portray a character that had already sort of been established by a different actress?
It would have been, except I didn't really know what I was getting into. In other words, like I fell in love with Supernatural after having done it, so I hadn't seen it before. And I hadn't seen Nikki's work, so I feel kind of lucky because I wasn't in my head about it. I wasn't worried about trying to please and live up to that, because I think that would have like really, gotten in the way of playing her. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it would be very hard, except it wasn't, because it wasn't really real in my head that was what I was doing.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi. My question is, who's your favorite actor to work with on set and why?
Like I'm ever gonna answer that. No, I have no answer for you there. They're all really freaking awesome, especially on the Supernatural set. It was just a really amazing experience, and some of the kindest human beings I've ever worked with, and that's why we've all stayed friends, and they're just good people. I'm trying to think of like anything interesting I can add. So a fun little like factoid, one of the other really fun sets that I've been on that I loved the experience was working with Christian Kane on Hyde. And I don't know if you guys know, but there's actually like connection, because Christian is we're friends with Jared and Jensen and Jason Mans, and so like we're all connected. And he went to college with Nikki, who played the original Meg. So we all know each other. It's very insidious. Incestuous? I don't know what. But anyway, no, it's just good people I love working with. And I'm really loving getting to work with Misha and Jen and Danielle and Jared and Jensen, everyone, because basically this whole Supernatural family helps. I'm getting to work with all of them with Random Acts, and it's just kind of incredible. And I love the Supernatural ladies so much. But oddly, most of us never worked together, actually. So yeah, I have no good answer for you. You know, again, like dorky answer, but I really genuinely loved working with everyone.
Alright, thank you.
Who do you think would be most fun?
Jared.
Nice. Jared's so special and so kind, and yeah, it's a good pick.
Thank you. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Sorry?
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good.
So I was just wondering, of all the supernatural characters, if you could give one of them like a just big comforting hug, which one would you choose?
That's a really good question, because that's such a like Rachel question. I'm like, oh, that's actually like, that's something I would want to do. God, they all need so much freaking healing. When I even contemplate that. I don't know. I mean, because we've gotten to see so much of what they've been through, I instinctively think of one of the three main guys in terms of like, Dean needs so much healing, Sam needs so much healing, and Cass doesn't know it, but he needs so much healing. So yeah, I honestly, like, they all really need lifetimes of hugs. Yeah, and now Jack too. Like, I mean, they're all really damaged. I don't know. I want to hug them. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Who needs a hug the most? I'll hug them.
I don't know. I mean, Cass is just my personal favorite, and I know that my friend here would want to hug Kevin.
Nice. And by the way, Osric is one of those. He's one of the most special people ever. I was lucky enough to work on his first episode, so I was actually the first person on Supernatural that like got to hang out and talk to him, and he's just one of the most special, kind, wonderful human beings ever. So that's a good pick.
He's so sweet. I really want to meet him someday.
So, but yeah, I don't know, are you with me? They all really need hugging.
They do. They do.
That's a season 20 Rachel season, like just all of them get hugged for a season.
That's a good plan. I can get behind that.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Hey.
Hi. I was wondering, if you were to choose to be a protagonist, not like acting, but more because of their morals from like any series, any episode, who would you choose to be?
Oh my goodness. Wait, any series, any episode?
Any, like, your favorite protagonist in anything that's like, whether they're heroic or something, just like...
I'm literally like, my nerd brain just short-circuited. I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to regret whatever I answer. Like, I'm going to leave and think about this and be like, oh my gosh, no, I should have said this person or this person. But my first instinct was Doctor Who. And here's why. There's so much capacity to change the world for the better, and there's so much perspective that character has that I think would be amazing to bring to the table. And I just, for whatever reason, the part of me that never quite understood humans, from a very early age, like I remember my first experiences at school, I'd come home and I was like, Mom, there are all these kids and they're doing, like I'm describing their like really strange behavior. I'm like, what do I do? So yeah, Doctor Who, I loved the kind of constant outsider perspective. It just makes sense to me. So yeah, in a lot of ways, that's the first one that came to mind, but there's so many other characters. I mean, I was thinking with comics and so forth, like I've always really connected to Jean Grey. I would love to see more with the Phoenix and with that character. There are just so many. Who would you pick?
Probably Hermione, because she could clean up Harry's messes quicker than, like, he could.
She's absolutely one of the best characters ever. I think I didn't pick Hermione because I'm probably too close to her, in that I'm such a dork and stuff. Like to me, I'm like, yeah, no, I already know what it is to be Hermione. I was always the girl in school with my hand raised that the teacher would go, okay, anyone but Rachel. So yeah.
Thank you so
great
much.
pick.
Hi.
By the way, can I just acknowledge that I love that you guys all have gotten to know me well enough to know, like, ask Rachel the geek questions. Just go for it. So, yes.
So I want to know whether you consider Meg like a female heroine and like a hero, because like I do personally. I think that she's like amazing, and I love like the change she made towards the end, and I love your Meg. She's my favorite.
Thank you so much. I was so lucky to get to play her, and she was just so well written, and absolutely, I think she's a hero. And I wouldn't even define it as heroine, because I love the fact that I wouldn't associate anything about her behavior and her personality with a gender. I don't think it's needed. I thought she was such a gender neutral character. She was just badass. And I think she was totally heroic. Because she didn't even blink an eye when it came to something, you know, that might affect her body or whatever negatively. It was like, I don't care as long as I'm doing the right thing, and she just stuck to her ideals more than almost any character, and unflinchingly did so. And I thought she was pretty amazing too.
Also, thank you. I dressed up like Meg for Halloween, and I posted it on Twitter, and
Yes.
I tagged you, and you liked it, and
Yes.
it made like my entire week.
Well, you deserve that. I hope that you have so many better things in the future, but you wore the heck out of that costume. So, yeah, you're awesome. And you embodied Meg's spirit too, which is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Hi. So I was curious as to what your first day on set was like.
It's a good question. I mean, the thing about Supernatural too is it's intense and you move fast. It was like a wonderful experience, but it also was just, there's not a lot of like hand holding. So it just like get the job done, do the job. Yeah, I just remember everyone being super nice. I loved all the crew, all the cast, like everyone was super cool. I got to work with Lou, who does the stunts, and he was awesome. So I did a lot of fight training and stuff with him, and that was so much fun.
Or did you fangirl when you met anybody?
What was that?
Did you fangirl when you met anybody?
No, luckily, like I wasn't, because I hadn't been like watching the show, I wasn't in that like feeling of like fangirlishness. They were just cool, good people. And I'd met some of them before, and like Jensen actually I'd met years before, and so it was just really nice to work with good people, and I always had that like kind of professional thing of I just didn't want to let anyone down. I wanted to know my lines and do the fight scene well, and I really loved getting to do a fight with guys where I held my own, and I got to beat up like. It was one of my most fun moments was getting to beat up Jared, supposedly, because, you know, he's a little bit bigger than me and probably stronger. You know, who knows? But yeah, it's fun to get to play that, and so I was excited about doing that and didn't want to mess up my, like, you know, well-coordinated scene.
All right, thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, okay, so it's really cool. I love you so much. Okay, so,
Love you too.
Meg was a demon, so if you had to create a monster, like an original monster, like completely different than all of them that have been on Supernatural, what would be some of its characteristics?
Like a bad guy scary monster, or?
Yes.
Okay. Because I love like old school horror films where you never saw the creature, because obviously we didn't have the technology to do creatures a lot of times, so it was useful. but it also was scarier. So I love things like the Hellhounds where you use your own imagination, where you never actually see the monster. And I think that what we do, like the fear we can hold within our own head about the unknown is far scarier than anything that you could create or see. So I would definitely do something that was more of a psychological scare if I really wanted to frighten people. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
Hi. So we had a conversation earlier and it sparked the inspiration for my question. So obviously representation of all types of people is important.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you ever found like a character or a story that perfectly or just amazingly represented you and like the things that you have gone through in any type of like TV or film?
That's such an amazing question. Thank you. And I loved our conversation. So, no, I haven't, in short. And I really think it's important and I would love to see better representation out there. I feel like we're getting somewhere and it's so much better than it used to be. And I've seen more characters that encompass some part of me really accurately. But when it comes to representation, I don't often feel seen or understood or know where I fit. It's something that I realized when I got sick and I started not to be able to function in the world as normally I should. And I realized there was I didn't have any context. There are characters that are sick, but they're usually victims. And it's like a really sad tale, or they're inspirational, and it's like, oh wow, they overcame the odds, and they managed to do these things. So I had those examples, but I was like, what happens when you're just normal and you want to know how to do normal things? And it's going to sound strange, but I was actually talking at my meet and greet, like, wouldn't it be amazing to see just from a logistical standpoint, like what happens when someone in a wheelchair falls for someone and they have to kiss or make out, like just logistically, I'd like to see that a few times pulled off because I find I shy away from those moments because I literally just don't know they're so tall and like, what would you do? Like I'm used to this scenario of like normal people where you lean up against a wall and you start making out or whatever. Like what happens when you're really low down and like it's all weird? Do they like bend over and like, is that an awkward moment? But if we saw that, I think the way that we learn as humans is often through mimicry. So if we just saw those things happen a few times on screen, it'd be really helpful because then we'd be like, oh, that's how it works. And that would become normalized. And I think we need better representation. Like I'm really interested in intersectionality and how representation can kind of like how all of us kind of underrepresented minorities, so to speak, actually make up the majority. And I think if we see more diversity of representation in general, of every kind, for every group, then even if we don't find ourselves represented perfectly, we'll still feel like we fit in the world because it's like, oh, I'm somewhere in all those variations of differences. And it becomes okay to be kind of abnormal as normal. Because there's like the truth of normalcy is such a fallacy. It doesn't exist. It's like we're all trying to pretend to be something we're not. So anyway, that's my.
Thank you so much. I have never found I'm a trans person and I have never seen a trans man especially represented on any type of media because they're usually used as a comic relief or it's this stereotype. So.
Or it's a story about someone transitioning or something and about the struggles of that. And I just want to see more stories where it's like, oh yeah, that person's trans even though it's never even named because they're just an awesome human being and they're just being my friend or whatever it is. Like that should just exist, and I think we'll start to, it won't be this like major story factor anymore. That's what I'm hoping happens eventually.
Thank you.
So, yes, and you're awesome, and thank you. Hey, hello you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's great to see you.
What is your favorite part of being executive director now of Random Acts?
Getting to work with people like you. Yeah, no, seriously, so the most beautiful thing to see every day is just humans' capacity for goodness and kindness and selfless effort to make the world better. I see that in all you guys every single minute of every day, and it's just the most encouraging thing. And at a really dark point for a lot of people in history, where a lot of people are feeling very down about the world, I feel incredibly optimistic because I get to see the good side of it, which is you. So, that's my perspective. Yes.
Hi, Rachel.
I think I'm going to be paid off soon.
My name's Rochelle.
Hello, Rochelle.
And I have to say, I follow you on Twitter, and I love your tweets. They make me smile.
Thank you for saying that.
But what I wanted to know is, we know very few female characters actually last on Supernatural, and I want to know what it means to you that Meg actually stuck around for a while.
I felt grateful every day I got to see those scripts and say those lines, and as I say, I love Meg, and to me she wasn't even female or male, she was just badass. And I think they've done a better and better job of bringing those characters in, and I want to see more of that in general, just in life on every show. Yeah, I'm very, very, very grateful to have played her. So.
Well, Meg is missed. She was awesome.
Thank you. I miss her too.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome, Rachel Miner.